they're not bringing Carter Hart back. And I don't necessarily think it's because the Flyers aren't interested in Carter Hart. I think it's because Carter Hart's not interested in coming back here. And it feels like a lot of people have been kind of framing the argument about whether or not to bring Hart back based on the idea of, will the Flyers want to bring him back, as if the Flyers were in some kind of a power position here. And they're just not. Hart ultimately is going to get to choose his next team. And what ended up coming up is they had the conversation about, would he be open to returning to the team? And what Briere ultimately landed on, and what his agent said, is that he ain't coming back. That is, a reunion is not happening. So here's the quote from Danny Briere specifically. This is Danny talking about the conversation between Hart's agent, his representative, and the Flyers. Here it is.
The comment I'll make on that is that his representative, Judd Moldaver, has reached out and kind of told us that in light of everything that happened in the last year and a half with Carter, they felt, and Carter felt, that it was better for them to look for a fresh start. So that's where it's at, and it's the only comment I'm going to make on it.
So then let's be really clear. Like, again, this is where the frustration comes from, right? I think I've been saying on this show for months. I mean, it's not like it's Danny goes out and says that publicly, and now the day after, Russ reacts to it and says, I'm not surprised. I've been saying for months, there's virtually no chance that Carter Hart comes back to the Flyers. And not that it's because the Flyers don't want him back, because Lord knows there are people in that front office and that organization that wanted to bring Carter Hart back. It never made sense for me that Hart was going to want to come back to this team. Look at it for a whole myriad of reasons. One reason, the team playing in front of him. He's now missed, and he will have, they're not going to be eligible to play until I think December. He will have missed almost 2 seasons, 2 full years from the time that he had to walk away from hockey till he's able to actually take the ice as an NHL goalie again. Why would you come to a team that is maybe just starting to pull the nose up on a rebuild? Why would you come to a team that doesn't have a legitimate veteran-laden defensive core in front of you? Why would you do that? You wouldn't. Why would you come back to a team that didn't issue you a qualifying offer? Now, we've had this argument on the show. If the league told the Flyers you cannot give him a qualifying offer, then the Flyers should be pushing the league for compensation. I've also been very consistent about that for months. If the Flyers were told don't issue a qualifying offer to a pending restricted free agent, they should be fighting for compensation. They won't get it. If the Flyers proactively chose not to give him a qualifying offer, well, okay, then that sticks in the crawl of Carter Hart and his representatives. That you could have done a show of good faith, that you believed the player and that you intended on having this player when he comes back, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Why would you go back to a team whose fan base is acutely aware of the Hockey Canada trial? Now, not every Philadelphia sports fan knows the explicit details of what was brought up in testimony and the trial. Not even every Flyers fan is acutely aware of everything that happened with the trial. But a good number of Flyers fans are aware. Carter Hart went away. There was a trial. The trial was for XYZ. Not ideal. He was found not guilty. The end. Why would you go back to a fan base that has been aware of this for years? Why would you go back to a big media market with very highly scrutinous media? Those are 4 strikes against Philadelphia. It never made sense to me that he would want to come back here. The Flyers could have wanted him as much as anybody could have wanted any player. I don't think there was ever a chance he was going to come back. And now you've effectively had it publicly stated. It was said by a few of the national media people like a week or 2 ago. Friedman said it. Saravalli said it. And they have Danny Briere on record saying he wants a fresh start. So Carter Hart will be back in the NHL this year. He will not be in net for the Flyers. I threw out some teams a while back. I think Carolina was one of them. That could be in play. Could a Vegas be a team that's in play? The Utah Mammoth has been kind of thrown out there as a possibility. I could see Utah making sense. He's from Edmonton. I don't think he's going to go play in Canada. I don't think a lot of these guys, I don't think any of the 5 from the Hockey Canada trial are going to want to go play in Canada because everyone is very aware of that trial. If you're from the western side of the continent and you can go to a media market that isn't going to go after you very much in Utah, and you're going to have a brand new fan base, right, that doesn't have any of the baggage, that doesn't have any of the dark cloud of the past kind of hovering over it, Utah makes a lot of sense. Vegas could make a lot of sense. We'll see where he ends up, but he's not coming back here. And so if you've been one of those people who's been holding out hope, right? If you've been holding out hope that the Flyers are going to reunite with Carter Hart, your hopes have been dashed. Get ready for a very steady dose of Sam Ersson, Dan Vladar, and Alexei Kolosov at some point this season.